Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sam Williams, and I'm the chair of the General Alumni Association of Fisk University, as well as a member of the Board of Trustees of Fisk University. My guest today is William Billy Bowen, a friend of mine and a person who I truly enjoy being around. As you can see, he's a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, and I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. But back in our day, we always got together and talked about issues panhelletically. This is the first showing that we're going to have entitled Growing in the Game. And today, Bill is my first person who will start this show out for this particular year. Thank you, Bill, and welcome.
Thank you, Sam, for having me. Us Fisk men, we do things like this together, and people don't know that you said hand that we did these things when we were in school, and we continue to do things, and our opportunities as well as our horizons grow because of that. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Tell me, what was your experience like here at Fisk?
Oh, my experience here at Fisk was absolutely marvelous. I never knew that I would meet such a diversified group of people, even back in the 60s. I came to Fisk in 1966 as a Nashville boy from down the street, Pearl High School. And I met a whole new world. And through that experience, hasn't done anything but grow. But yet still, I still keep my roots and stuff with my city here in Nashville, as well as my experiences abroad and my open horizons.
Oh, that's wonderful, Bill. Tell me something. What was your degree? What did you graduate?
I graduated from Fisk with a dual degree, actually. I had a degree. I had my major was political science and history. And believe it or not, I was an athlete when I came to Fisk. And I was about 2 or 3 hours short of having another major in health and physical education when I went to Fisk. We were back then, and I'm still sure that it's probably still the same requirements, 120 hours. I finished Fisk with 123.
That's wonderful, Bill. You mentioned that you went to Pearl High School. Describe Pearl High School in comparison to Fisk University or even Tennessee State, because I've known you going to Tennessee State also, and you have a degree from them also.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Pearl High School basically was a training ground. Most of our teachers back then were wives or professors at either Fisk or Tennessee State University. So we had an inroad there already. And the whole thing was basically based on the fact that you can go as far as you want to go. You can achieve as much as you want to achieve. And they pushed you to do that. They saw talents in you in different things. I remember just as clearly W.D. Hawkins, who was a comptroller at Fisk when I was here.
He helped me too.
His wife was my English teacher at Pearl High.
Oh,
And she'd say, Billy, now when you go to Fisk, now those kids from the North, they get a little bit extra from what we are able to give you. So when you get there, you find you a study group, and you get with those kids, and you find out, and they can help you along with that, and what you can bring to the table, you do that, and you're going to establish some friends for life. And boy, was she ever right.
well, that's wonderful. What was her name?
Oh, Minerva Hawkins.
Minerva.
Minerva Hawkins.
Hawkins.
She had ties with Tubby Johnson.
Is that so? And tell us about Tubby Johnson a little bit.
Tubby Johnson, was that the name of, he was a president, I think, of Fisk University. And because we do have the Henderson A. Johnson gymnasium, but in those two during that time, they would become confused between those two. But she had been married to him before he passed away.
Ah. And what is your role with the General Alumni Association of Fisk University?
Fortunately, my role, other than being a proud alumnus, it's lifted me into what I consider myself one of Fisk's distinguished alumni that just so happens to be on the GAFU board for the General Alumni Association as general counsel.
General counsel.
Yeah, general.
That means that you went to law school.
Yeah, I went to law school. So
And where did you go?
I went to Thurgood Marshall School of Law at Texas Southern University,
Wow.
which was one of the universities because as a political science and a history major here at Fisk, they had several schools that we could choose from. Of course, they wanted us to go to Vanderbilt. They wanted us to go to the University of Tennessee and things. But during that time, there were what do you call it? Certain limits that you could have. Vanderbilt had they could take two and stuff like that. So we would get students there and then the rest of us would go to other schools. But when I went to Houston, Texas, to Thurgood to Texas Southern University School of Law because they changed the name before I graduated to Thurgood Marshall School of Law at Texas Southern University. There were quite a few Fiskites who taught at the university as well in the law school as well as fellow students. So that was a great experience and coming out of college and going to law school was really something back then because most of the people that the men, people of color that did go to law school had professions before they went to law school. Here I am, a recent graduate coming out of law school at 26 years old. Why into an area where it was wide open. So and it's been fruitful.
That's nice, Bill. I've heard that when you were here at Fisk, you were a dapper kind of guy.
Some say. I think I stood my ground.
A lot of people say, especially the women. They said that you had your own sports cars, you had your own different, you had an apartment. You tell us about your life as in that capacity.
Okay, my lifestyle at Fisk University. Well, like I said, I was a Nashville boy. When I came up to Fisk University, I was recruited here as an athlete, football. I stayed in Bennett Hall. Stayed in Bennett Hall first semester. After that, I always had a knack for working. I always had jobs, and I was very fortunate to have jobs that enhanced and furthered me along culturally as well as financially, so to speak. So, and back then, I had a job working down in Nashville, down near what now is not the Music Row area, but the Lower Broadway area, in an area called Prentice Alley. Prentice Alley was like a little Las Vegas area, and I happened to be fortunate enough to have a job there as a gourmet waiter, which meant I went to work every day in a tuxedo, and I did French cuisine tableside. And was exposed to a lot of people that had a lot of means. And being a Fisk student, I was the schoolboy, and they loved to talk to me. And I met a lot of the entrepreneurs and business people in the city that they just kind of took to me. So my experience with that gave me an opportunity to have some funds. I had me a little red MG that I would ride around in. I moved out of the dormitory and got me an apartment. I learned things from different things that I was doing, so I had my apartment furnished very well. I love to entertain, and I love the ladies, and I would love to take them out and instead of leave the campus and instead of going to the Ritz Theater here, I would take them to the Belmont, the Bellmead Theater, or out to 100 Oaks to the theater, and then in the White Bridge area, which was other areas, which were white areas, and we'd have dinner and things like that. And with my frat brothers, we had different things instead of just hanging out on the yard, introducing them to what I'd seen and been exposed to, champagne parties and things of that. So some of those things, kind of rubbed off and on the yard, so to speak. I was Billy Boat, the sweetest capper that you'd ever know. So that was kind of a thing, but I never knew that it would evolve into anything like this. But I have some very fond memories here at Fisk University.
They say that you are a mother's boy.
Yeah, Mom.
They say that your mother worked across the street at Meharry and was very instrumental in a lot of the physicians that we have today and around the world.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us a little bit how you grew up in the household and how she impacted you. And we want to know about the religious experience that you had coming up in your church.
Okay, in my church and in my family, first, my mother was one of three children. Her father was a Methodist minister, and my granddaddy was my best friend. Okay, and he and my mother and my grandmother, all of them would instill in us that they wanted us to be better than them. Well, um, I didn't have any sense of not being fortunate or having the things that I wanted in life and growing up. But at the same time, she instilled in me and I had my brothers were twins and a sister, and she instilled in us about, as I said, being better than her. And anytime that I would get into things, cause see, I was the baby, and uh, and when I get into things, she would just tell me, she said, "Boy, didn't I tell you? Boy, don't let me. Boy, you better." And some more things came after that. Boy, didn't I tell you that I expect you to do such? Boy, don't let anybody tell me that they saw you. Don't, don't let me catch you doing this because we're going to have a problem. Those were the things that instilled in me coming up. And I was always in church. Now, my grandmother, my grandfather, who was a preacher, his wife, she always wanted me to be a preacher.
Wow.
So when I was about 9, 10 years old, I got my little Bible and I read the Bible front to back 2 or 3 times and stuff. And I sit and talk to my granddaddy about it, and he would laugh. And when I would get in trouble and stuff, the only thing, he wouldn't really chastise me because he would just look at us when we would be there and stuff and do something. He said, "Didn't I tell you all to hush?" You know, and we would get quiet. If somebody didn't get quiet, granddaddy had something for you. Well, see, the thing was, his rule was that if you have an argument or disagreement, if somebody gets quiet, it ends. So I recognize that. But at the same time, back to being a preacher, when I did graduate from Fisk, my grandmother insisted that I go down to the interdenominational theological seminary in Atlanta. It kept me out of going to law school right after I came from Fisk because she wanted me to be a preacher. Well, I went down there and I checked it out. And it didn't necessarily sit the same way that I would used to see and how my grandfather and his colleagues here worked out. They were younger guys. They were doing a lot of things that, that young people do. And it didn't sit well with me. So my granddaddy just told me, he said, "Well, if it ain't for you, son, just come on home." So I came home. And
I can understand that, Bill. Let me ask you this. As a result of that religious orientation or foundation
yeah.
that you have, tell us a little bit about some of the things that you do within your church. From what I understand, are you a AME?
No, I'm United Methodist, which used to be just the old Methodist Episcopal Church until it merged with the Brethren United Church in 1968.
Well, tell us a little bit about that experience and what have you done and the things that you've done in Nashville. I want you to tell us. I know a little bit about it, but where have you ascended in your church and in your other side of your ministry?
Well, right now, I serve as Tennessee Western Kentucky Conference president of the United Methodist Men.
Okay.
Also with that group, I serve as the general counsel for the United Methodist Men's Foundation, which is a group that finances all the activities and stuff for United Methodist Men in the men's church. Now, at my church, I've just about sat on every committee and every board except the women's ministry.
Okay.
I've been the treasurer. I've been the president of administrative council, of course, and things like that. And I serve as general counsel for my church. Just a few things. But the main thing that I do for my church is I try to make disciples for Christ.
Wonderful. Now, they tell me that there's a building on or about Tennessee State's campus. And what is that building for, and how influential were you in terms of dealing with that building?
Oh, you're talking about the United Methodist building at Tennessee State called the TSU Wesley Foundation.
Yeah.
John Wesley is the founder of the Methodist Church. He and his brother James Wesley, they came to America from England to Georgia, the Georgia area, St. Simon's Island. If you've ever been there, it's quite a fluid area, but that's where they landed. But John Wesley is the founder of the church, and they have ministries. Fisk has a Wesley Foundation ministry on campus. They have a minister that's the campus minister that helps students to continue their religious experiences in the Methodist Church or any denomination that has need for it. See, Fisk has a chapel, and we usually have a chaplain and stuff for our students. That Tennessee State doesn't have that, but we have one on the campus. Just so happened, I serve as the president of the board for the Tennessee State Wesley Foundation, and currently, my duties with them is I've been with them for about 12 years. Other than the talents I bring is I do started out with them as property director, handling all of their property matters and stuff like that. And we built a building about 20 years ago.
Wow.
And we house students there that instead of them living in the dorms, they live in our building. And we only have 6 of them there, but we're very choice on it. I would like to see something like that here at Fisk and for the Wesley Foundation. And by my role in it, it's not just board of directors chair for the TSU Wesley Foundation. My connection is with the Methodist Church in general, which affects Fisk as well. So be looking for me to do something to help out my university to spear some of the same fruits that are going on at TSU.
That's wonderful, Bill. People, I don't think, understand how alumni can come together and grow in the game.
Grow in the game.
And as we're growing in the game, we are putting ourselves, exposing ourselves, enlightening ourselves, enhancing our capabilities and understandings of each other. Where do you see Fisk University moving towards in the future, especially like homecoming, commencement, and all that? Have you seen any differentness, any growth?
Of course. And mainly, and I'm going to say this is not because I'm biased. It's under your leadership, Sam.
Thank you.
I think that you're a grassroots guy. You're very practical, but yet still you're visionary. And one thing that's for sure, any and everything that I've seen you do involving with the General Alumni Association is in the best interest of the university. So I see a lot of things that we are moving into that most universities, some universities have, usually they're state universities because the funding is different. But you are able to get alumni to rally around you. And that's quite important. And you teach unity, you teach sharing responsibility and things of that nature. And people appreciate that, especially when we get to be my age and been in the corporate world and things like that. Some of us get pushed aside and we learn how to mix and mingle. But the thing that we want most is become a part of it and be able to express and perform our expertise. And you do a good job with that. So I see Fisk, as far as the Alumni Association, moving ahead. And I think that from what I see in your administration right now, is that there's going to be plenty of good models for them to build on and move forward with. Because, see, we're in a new age and we have to wrap our heads around the fact that we have a new generation of young people. We have to meet them where they are. Some things we're not going to like. some things that we can build on. But one thing about it, if we get their attention and we get them to listen, something is going to be said that's going to stick with some of those students.
Well, Bill, I appreciate you sitting with me today. And as you know, this is the inaugural program of Growing in the Game. And I want you to know that chatting with you has been an inspiration. Working with you has been foundationally competent for me as an individual to work with and have people who understand a person like me who you all say I have vision and things of that nature. So with that in mind, I'm going to thank you.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. And I just want to let you know that it's our duty and our destiny to make Fisk University the best place in the world. Thank you very much. My name is Sam Williams. We're growing in the game. And I want you to know that for the next year, we're going to have a series of shows and interviews with distinguished alumni who are going to make this a better place.